Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Happy Monday, and I hope that all of you had a great weekend. So in this video, let's go over some of the news surrounding a fourth stimulus check from Congress, as well as a $200 increase in your Social Security benefits. Guys, we know that there are many bills that are being proposed by lawmakers, and this could help struggling Americans financially. So I'll be discussing all of these stimulus bills and how each one of them can positively affect you. We're going to be talking about stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, as well as the increase in your SI and SDI payments. So guys, just be sure to stay until the end of this video. Right now everybody, many of our politicians are focused on student loan forgiveness. Groups all over DC are saying that the Biden administration can and should act immediately to erase the debt of hundreds of thousands of borrowers who may not realize that they're already qualified for relief. Everybody, what are your thoughts on this? Should our politicians in Congress be focused on forgiving student loan debts, or should they put more focus on passing more stimulus relief and increasing your Social Security benefits? To me, everybody, it seems like our politicians have forgotten about our seniors. It is such a disgrace that we have not increased our Social Security benefits. Personally, folks, I believe that our politicians in Congress, including Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, need to pass a fourth stimulus bill, as well as increase Social Security benefits by $200 a month. And if you agree with me, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes. Now everybody, so far this year, Joe Biden has forgiven around $2.3 billion in student loans, affecting more than 113,000 people who now have more room in their budgets to save and invest. But lawmakers and consumer advocates are continuing to push Joe Biden to go much further in this. Groups that advocate on behalf of student loan borrowers are demanding that the U.S. Department of Education automatically wipe out the student debt of many disabled borrowers who are eligible for relief but have not received it or don't know that they're eligible for it. Now guys, many of these borrowers include older Americans carrying student loan debt for children and grandchildren. But like I said earlier everybody, our politicians must be focused on helping out our seniors. We cannot forget about them, and more stimulus checks must be passed before anything else. And if you guys agree with me, then leave a comment down below saying I agree. So guys, the Biden administration definitely needs to address student loan debt forgiveness, but they also must address unemployment benefit insurance. Democratic lawmakers from all over the country are already pushing for a separate expansion of unemployment benefits. Many Democrats in Congress want the White House to propose more generous and long-lasting jobless benefits on a permanent and consistent basis. Lawmakers are urging Joe Biden to include this in his anti-poverty package. Now guys, everybody, in a letter to the White House, around 40 Democrats said that Joe Biden should propose implementing a series of new federal standards of the unemployment insurance programs. They proposed increasing the amount of jobless payments, extending the duration of the weekly benefit, and implementing a system that will more closely tie the payments to economic conditions. Now, a permanent extension of unemployment benefits could definitely help so many Americans across the country. Do you agree with me, everybody? I want to know your thoughts on the unemployment benefit system in the comments. Now, the lawmakers did write that the CARES Act emergency programs must be extended to support jobless workers for the duration of the economic downturn, and they must also fix the underlying problems facing our unemployment insurance system so that it can provide economic security for all and every worker. Here's what our politicians like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have to say about SI and SSDI payments. We do know that Joe Biden did campaign on increasing Social Security benefits and helping out seniors, but he has yet to take action, and he's yet to fulfill his promise. Everybody, if you believe that President Joe Biden must help out our seniors, then let's get this video to 1,000 likes. Now, what our politicians like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders want is to raise benefit levels above the federal poverty line. As we can see here, they say that SI offers a vital income floor for older adults as well as children and adults with disabilities. And that's because SI represents a vital lifeline for those Americans, without which they would be unable to meet their fundamental needs. Unfortunately, the federal government has failed to adequately maintain this lifeline. SSI benefits have long been inadequate, with the federal benefit level standing at only $794 a month, and that's far below the federal poverty line. Our politicians also want to increase the SSI asset limit and index it to inflation going forward. Over the last several decades, SSI has been permitted to degrade, with income and asset restrictions failing to keep pace with both inflation and our country's evolving approach towards the inclusion of people with disabilities in the workforce. The letter goes on to say that during Joe Biden's campaign, he called for addressing this crisis. The letter asked him to raise the benefit to at least 100% of the federal poverty line, and also to update income exclusions and index them to inflation going forward. The letter writes, the letter says that SI recipients are also subject to an aggressive income test, with benefits phasing out at a rate of $1 for every $2 in income. What do you guys think about this, everybody? Should our Social Security benefits be increased? Let me know down in the comments, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a great day and stay safe.
Here to react to all of this is Florida Congresswoman and member of the House Homeland Security Committee, Kat Cammack. She joins us live from the GOP retreat in Orlando, which is kicking off today. Congresswoman, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
President Biden's selling a $2.3 trillion package, which includes some infrastructure. He's in the process of rolling out another $1.5 to $1.8 trillion spending and tax plan. What can Republicans do about it?
Well, the big question is how in the heck are we going to pay for this? We've just come off a record spending with so-called COVID relief packages. Less than 9% actually went to COVID relief. Now we have an infrastructure plan, or I should say so-called infrastructure plan, where less than 6% of that is actually going to roads and bridges and rural broadband.
Last fall, there was a concern among many around the country and many Republican voters that if elected, Democrats in the House, the Senate, and the White House, if they had the whole of government, would try to implement massive change, transformative change as it was described. And there was a consistent view articulated by Democrats and other places around the country, oh, that'll never happen because Joe Biden, after all, is a moderate. And these ideas are crazy ideas. Nobody would ever do some of the things that are being talked about. Well, Mr. President, I have to say that pretty much everything that was predicted is now coming true, at least as it pertains to legislation that is being advanced by Democrats here in the Congress and by the White House. Starting, of course, with the massive amount of spending, the massive expansion of the government. We saw that with the coronavirus relief bill, which ended up being about $2 trillion, that on top of the $4 trillion that Congress, in a bipartisan way, last year had put toward coronavirus relief. Much of that $2 trillion, in fact, most of it, about 90% of it, didn't have anything to do with the coronavirus. Only about 10% of all that spending of nearly $2 trillion was actually related to the coronavirus. Most of it was other things that Democrats had wanted to fund that's been on their wish list, if you will, for some time, and an expansion of government. Well, if that weren't enough, there's now talk of a, quote, infrastructure bill, which would spend on the order of another $2.5 to $3 trillion, again, much of which is unrelated to infrastructure. And if you define infrastructure,